This is the Griffin Podcast, episode number 114. We're in our seller plan, and the question on the table is, what's the fastest way to improve the condition of your home before selling? Are you a home seller or a home buyer who has questions about selling or buying residential property? Or maybe you're an agent who needs a plan but can't find an easy way to get your answers? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of The Griffin and the host of the Ask-A-Griffin podcast. Now, to help take you in a better direction, hopefully, if you're a seller, buyer, or agent, you can take advantage of our free step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. That's Griffin courses.com. All right, let's get at this question here. What's the fastest way to improve condition before selling your home? Well, in the last episode where we talked about pricing out major items, because I think one of the panics that a lot of home sellers have is that, oh my gosh, I have so much deferred maintenance. My bathrooms and my kitchens, they need to be upgraded. And I have a roof that's aged. I was actually just out at a house the other day, and it is two brothers who have inherited property, and their folks had lived there for a while, and it's a mess. I mean, there are definitely some things that need to be done. So the roof needs to be done. It's all crispy and curly. There's a little bit of a water issue that I think maybe I discovered what it was, and it needs to be cleaned up. So what do you do first? Well, let's go back to this, but I'm going to actually start with the word cleaning. That's the big word here. Do this instead. Clean first before we even talk about the roof, before we talk about, this little leak in this pipe. We needed to talk about cleaning this property. Now, this property in particular is in a really good location. I mean, really good. The houses around it are more expensive. The beach in this case is within walking distance. The village, access to everything. Location is a 10. But when you pull up to it, it feels tired. And so let's start with the first point here. Curb appeal. I mean, we talk about curb appeal for a reason. So the first thing to do is professionally clean your property outside. So as I step back from this property in my mind's eye and I remember it, I mean, it's clean to a certain extent, but the first thing that strikes you is there's no edges to the flower beds. I always recommend that really when you're clean up the flower beds, cut a fresh edge in them. I'm a big fan of black mulch because from an aesthetic standpoint, it contrasts nicely against the house. And even if the grass doesn't have, for example, in this case, sprinkler system in it, it still is going to be a better color against the black. And so boom, all of a sudden the eye recognizes it. The next thing we look at is the trim, because that's a much easier way to pop out the edges. I mean, somebody might not like the color you pick. If it is a wood-based structure, brick is what it is. So we're looking at that trim. Is there anything that we could do to clean that up, cut the bushes, etc.? And it's amazing how just doing that, I know painting is not necessarily cleaning, but even if we were to just scrape down the peeling paint a little bit, but just something, but that professional landscaping can go miles. I can't tell you how many times I have had somebody go through and give my clients the once over, just the cleanup. It's like a different house. Especially if something's been left a while or you've never really done professional landscaping and you've dabbled. This is all a perceptive sale. So just getting a fresh palette look on this from a curb appeal standpoint is everything. Now, again, if we want to go a little bit further into the trim paint and things like that, that's going to refresh it up. But I'm more interested in cleaning first. Just clean. Because when somebody comes up to that property and looks at it, they're going to look at the things that look off. They're going to be drawn to that. And then they don't get to see, in a case like this, the potential. They forget about the location. Oh, I don't want to do the work. So cleaning that outside, and especially if there's a beautiful backyard, in this case there is, we want to make sure that the grass is cut nicely. The edges are there. And if there's any fencing that's broken, before even doing that, you want to take it down, throw it out. I have another client right now that's coming live, and they were doing a great job on the interior, and they were truly renovating floors, kitchen, bathrooms. But all of a sudden, there's an opportunity to move home to California from Cape Cod. And I said, look, let's just go around here and clean. Get a dumpster and clean all these things. So they did. They started to pick up the broken fencing, the broken deck, all the things they didn't get to, and just threw it away. And my goodness, is it a different place? It looks so much better. Now we can focus on what they did do because we cleaned the rest. The second point here is think lemony fresh, right? That nice lemony fresh smell when you go into a house and it just smells clean. But a lot of you, and again, I know you're all going to penny pinch on this one. Don't do it. When you go to sell your house, I mean, unless, of course, you can't afford to do anything, I understand that. Or there's a situation where you're not allowed to do it because of an estate situation. I get that there are circumstances where you might not want to spend the money to have your home professionally cleaned on the inside. I already recommended cleaning it on the outside. That's a professional landscaper, folks, okay? When you can go and add value by simply spending some money with a professional landscaper and a professional interior clean team, you do it professionally. Why? I know you think you're the greatest cleaner. Unless you're in that business, you don't know how to deep clean, and you just wouldn't focus on it like that. So I'm telling you, it's really important to hire the pros to do this sort of thing because they will get into places, nooks and crannies where you have never really explored before, never gone before. It sounds like a Star Trek entry, right? I mean, you really haven't. And there are things that it's interesting to see that when somebody gets under furniture, behind, a refrigerator, underneath the stove, and they really deep clean this place, there's something that transforms in that sensory perception. I mean, I've had people that go and professionally clean their house. And say, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was this nice, right? Because we just get doing our thing in our life. We live our life and we just don't take the time to do this. But the last point here is the most critical point. All of this is because the buyer's perception of you as an owner really matters. Let me explain. I have worked with hundreds, if not thousands of buyers in my career, and I know it's over many thousands actually. But the point being is that when we go into these houses together, they immediately look at things their way. And they're looking, a lot of people have a negative paradigm when they see something negative. It just turns on like that. They can't see the positive. They can't see the opportunity. So sometimes as their guide, I have to say, oh, okay, wait a minute. I know it's in rough shape. It's not clean, but that's easy. That's the easy stuff. We can do that. I mean, I'm telling you, I can get a dumpster here and it'll be very cheap. And look at these hardwood floors and look at the structure of the cabinets is great. We could just paint those. I can see that as a pro, right? But ultimately, the buyer can't see that deeply. And then their perception is, well, if they didn't even take the time to clean it, what else is hiding? Let that sink in. If they didn't even bother to clean this place, what else didn't they do? Now they go looking suspiciously. And what's happening is they're devaluing the property. They still might make an offer, but they're going to make a devalued offer because you just didn't do those simple things that you could have done. All right? So this is a simple one this week. Let's just go and we'll talk about this one more time. The fastest way to improving the condition of your property before selling your home, and probably one of the best, is cleaning. And that starts with one, curb appeal. Professionally clean your property outside. By the way, for those of you in my other marketplace, Boston, a lot of people say, well, what are you talking about? Clean the outside. All I have is a lobby. I have coached people that if the lobby in a small building and there's not professional management wasn't clean, go clean it. That's essentially your outside, you're outside of your property, and then go out into the curb with a broom and sweep it up if it's a mess. Clean outside. 2, lemony fresh inside. Professionally clean your property inside. Hire real pros. Tell them, I want the deep clean. I want you to get the stuff where I can't see it or probably never even knew it was there. 3, this all matters because you are getting this property reconditioned so that the buyer's perception of value is enhanced so that they don't devalue the property. Okay. Let me summarize it by saying many home sellers overthink reconditioning their property before selling. While upgrading major items over the lifetime of owning a home is never a bad idea, the most important first step is to spend time having the property professionally cleaned outside and inside. This action step has an enormous positive change when it comes to not only the physical experience when a buyer visits, but also showing the buyer that you have cared for the property. That's a perception of what you felt about this. Did you take care of this baby that I'm about to buy? Now, if you don't present it cleanly, they'll assume you didn't care for it in general, and they'll devalue it versus the competition that's out there for them to choose from. All right, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction if you're a seller, buyer, or agent who wants help by getting a copy of our free step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. We also post our content at YouTube, so don't forget, you can subscribe to The Griffin Channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify if you're a listener and you like audio instead. We're over there, obviously. Remember, well, maybe not obviously, but we're there. Remember, nobody's coming for you. Nobody. So go take action and get to work on a plan for buying or selling a property or becoming a successful real estate agent. And we'll see you in the next episode to help you do that. Thanks.